Well, just earlier today, probably many of you saw the news, Charlie Daniels passed away. And I'm going to get in a moment to my real first five, but I first want to do is a short tribute to Charlie Daniels. I sent Matt the Wonderful some music, a little clip, one of his most famous songs. I also want to ask him at the same time to put up one of the last tweets that Charlie Daniels was able to put up on July 4th. He was perfectly healthy. This was not anything COVID related, but he did pass on this morning. But he had a great tweet out on July 4th. I asked Matt to put up the tweet, and then you can hear a little bit of Charlie Daniels. Okay, I just thought that'd be very fun in honor of Charlie Daniels, fabulous, fabulous musician, passed away this morning. As you saw from the previous tweet we put up a moment ago, very patriotic guy, his Twitter feed full of patriotism, love of God, just a really wonderful kind of commemoration of him. If you ever want to go read his Twitter feed, just at Charlie Daniels. But the real first five today, what I planned on and want to talk about, is about President Trump's speech at Mount Rushmore on Friday evening. And I'm going to guess in my audience, a lot of people heard it. I want to just say, as we're going to talk about a lot today, I think this was the most important speech, the most consequential speech of President Trump's entire political history. Literally, since from the campaign till election day, all of the wonderful speeches you've heard. This one on July 4th, actually on July 3rd, Friday, July 3rd, with Mount Rushmore as the backdrop, speaking to America at a time when we've just been going through terrific division and horrific damaging destruction of the statues that memorialize America's history. This was President Trump standing up for America. This was President Trump saying what America is and what it isn't. And it was a really throwing down the gauntlet. It was saying, or a drawing of the line. We're not going any further, leftists, crazy leftists in this country. This is our country. This is a country rooted in greatness and goodness, and you cannot have it. It was a stellar speech. I have on our website, americacanwetalk.org, on the homepage, under shows, drop-down list of links. I have a link both to the transcript, if you want to just read his speech, as well as to the speech itself you can play. It was a stellar, inspiring speech and a great thing for him to do at this time of great division, because many people of a less certain about their values, less certain about their love of America, more willing to always negotiate everything, a lesser president may have gone to that setting on July 3rd and apologized in some way for the damage, for the challenges in America, for the division in America, for problems of America's past, from acknowledging a whole long litany of things that weren't quite right. He went up and stood up for the American people, for the idea of America, and said, this is what we are, this is who we are. Matt has a bunch of clips I'm going to play, but I want to do two in this first five segment. The first clip I sent Matt is actually clip number one. I really sent a bunch of them. Clip number one, this is kind of the beginning at the Mount Rushmore speech, July 3rd, by Donald Trump.
There could be no better place to celebrate America's independence than beneath this magnificent, incredible, majestic mountain and monument to the greatest Americans who have ever lived. Today we pay tribute to the exceptional lives and extraordinary legacies of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Teddy Roosevelt. I am here as your president to proclaim before the country and before the world, this monument will never be desecrated. These heroes will never be defaced. Their legacy will never, ever be destroyed. Their achievements will never be forgotten. And Mount Rushmore will stand forever as an eternal tribute to our forefathers and to our freedom.
Okay, so that was the opening remarks. And by the way, it was just a beautiful setting, obviously, backdrop Mount Rushmore, so many patriotic things going on. But it was a great and inspired audience. People were very excited to be there, very aware. In fact, the just stellar governor of South Dakota, Kristi Noem, having said, in this time of COVID and all the challenges we have, questions we have about what the rules are and where you're allowed to be in public, do you have to wear a mask? She basically said the just all-American message to her constituents in the state of South Dakota. I trust you. And if you want to come, we'd love to have you. You can wear a mask if you want, but masks are not required. We're not socially distancing. We're having a patriotic rally on July 3rd at Mount Rushmore, and the place was packed. So there's a lot to break down about this speech. I'm going to play many other segments and talk through why I think it was so important. But I'm going to wrap up the first 5 by asking Matt to play clip number 7. And this is why I say, and you'll hear me say it throughout the show, why it was such a stellar speech. Because it was not a speech, it wasn't a timid speech. It wasn't an apologetic speech about America. And really, most importantly, it was not a speech where President Trump tried to convey, well, you know, sometimes there are good things about America, but, you know, you people who hate America, you have a good point too. The people who are tearing down our country, tearing down our history, tearing down our statues are part of an effort to eventually destroy America. And I've been saying it on the show, other talk show hosts have been saying it, pundits have been writing it, and conversations around the country at the dinner table. People have been talking about something's different in America at this time. This is not just our usual, you know, kind of political competition in an election year. This is an open confrontation, a stab in the heart of the idea of America that we're seeing from the left in this country. We're seeing from the protesters, the rioters, the arsonists, the looters, the statue destroyer criminals. This is much more than just a protest. A protest is marching in the streets holding a sign. This is a beginning of an attack on the very existence of America, the very identity of America. And this is among the many reasons I love this speech, because Donald Trump acknowledged that. Here we go, clip 7.
Make no mistake, this left-wing cultural revolution is designed to overthrow the American Revolution. In so doing, they would destroy the very civilization that rescued billions from poverty, disease, violence, and hunger, and that lifted humanity to new heights of achievement, discovery, and progress. To make this possible, they are determined to tear down every statue, symbol, and memory of our national heritage.
What that person yelled in the audience was "not on my watch," and he agreed. It was a great speech because the crowd was inspired, the people were inspired, and it was really a time for the many Americans who watched. I mean, literally millions of Americans watched this, watched it later, you can watch it online, and more Americans became aware because it was July 4th, a national holiday when many people want to tune in, watch the fireworks, hear what the president has to say. He actually had the bravery to say what is true, which is that we are in a very serious time in this country. What we're watching the left do is absolute destruction of this country, is a determination to radically transform this country. He's acknowledging, you know, his language about revolution. We are, as other commentators are putting it, in 2020, on the conservative side, it's like we're having another American Revolution. We're having to have the revolution again to stand up again for the idea of America, for the rights of individuals to live in freedom, for freedom of speech and assembly and worship, all the freedoms we've taken for granted for, for 2 centuries, more than 2 centuries. We're having to fight for it again. It is, as he's talking about, what the left is doing as a revolution to overthrow America. And he's right. This is what the left, if they got what they wanted, what they're doing, these protests and these riots and destruction of American cities, it is not simply to make a point that they would like to make policy proposal changes. It is to overthrow the idea of America. And people, like listeners in my audience, patriots around this country, we need to recognize we are in a battle for the heart and soul of America. We're having to again overthrow. We overthrew oppressive King George back at the time of the Revolution, and at this time we're having to overthrow the leftist overtaking of our country, the leftist attacks on our country, the leftist attempt to set their agenda, their standards, their rules, their ideas in place is what we all must listen to. That is what the left is up to. And so, my very fine friends, That's today's first five. We're going to go right back into this incredible speech President Trump gave. Incredible speech. With that, my friends, it's today's first five.